All right, systems, part 3. So I'm just saying systems instead of systems of equations, just a little shorter. But what is a system of equations again, by the way? What does that mean? System of equations. Is this a system of equations? Is that a system of equations? No. Why not?
Well, aren't the systems of equations like two, one above the other?
Yeah, a system of equation is usually two equations.
Yeah.
And they typically have an x and a y.
Yeah.
So we have two variables, two equations. And what did we say we're actually solving for when we solve these? Remember we talked about an equation with an x and a y is a line on a graph usually, right?
We're getting coordinates.
We're finding coordinates. What coordinates are we finding?
Coordinates for a graph.
We could plot them on a graph. What would they be on the graph?
Dots.
Let's try. So if I have two lines, this is actually my coordinate grid. Let's say I have two lines, right? So here's one of my lines. Maybe the equation of that is like, I don't know, negative 3x plus 6y equals 12. And then maybe here's my other line. Maybe this one is like x plus y equals 10. When I solve the system of equations and I get 1 point, what 1 point on this graph am I actually solving for? What is my 1 point that I'm solving for?
When x and y meet.
Yeah, right? Where would that be on this graph?
Right, with the two lines crossed.
Yeah, right here. When I solve a system of equations, I'm actually finding the point where two lines intersect. That's what I'm doing. Just a good reminder. It's good to keep in context what we're doing. So, let's do a quick one that's basically just review. Let's do this. X minus 10y equals 60. Our first equation, x plus 14y equals 12. How would you solve this one? Can I add these two together? Will something drop out is the question. Will I eliminate x or y if I add these together right now?
You will eliminate an x.
If I add them together?
Because it's that's a negative x, right?
This is a negative x.
Well, it's x minus. Would it?
So is that minus for the x or for the y?
The y.
Yeah, negatives always come before the numbers, right?
Yeah, but okay.
So I need to make one of my x's negative. How would I do that?
By dividing this by negative 1.
Nice. Which equation should I do that to?
The bottom one.
Sure. Let's multiply both sides of this equation times negative 1. So I'm going to have x times negative 1 is negative x. That's what negative x looks like, right? And then we have minus 14y. Another way of saying this, if I wanted to, I could write plus negative 14y. And I would probably put it in parentheses. But it's probably simpler just to say minus 14y. But remember, minus means plus a negative. Okay? Plus a negative. So make sure you write this version down in your notes. You don't really have to write the other version. Equals 12 times negative 1 is negative 12. Alright, now I'm going to rewrite this top equation x minus 10y equals 60. I have to add these together. What is negative x plus positive x? A negative, like what if x were 5? Negative 5 plus positive 5 would give me,
Would just be they cancel each other.
yeah, these cancel each other out. That's the whole reason that we're adding these together, so that the x's cancel out. They equal 0, but we don't need to write the 0. What's negative 14y plus negative 10y? Two negative numbers being added together.
So that would be negative 4.
Okay, negative 14y plus a positive 10y would give me negative 4. In this case, I have two negative numbers adding together.
So
That's going to make a larger negative number.
So it should be negative 24.
Negative 24y. And then negative 12 plus a positive 60. This is the same thing as saying 60 minus 12. If I were to flip the order, I can flip the order when I add, right?
48.
48. Divide both sides by negative 24.
Y equals 12, right?
Y equals, what is a positive divided by a negative?
Negative.
A negative. And what is 48 divided by 24?
2.
Yeah, 2. 48 is twice as big as 24. So we've got y equals 2. Now I plug that in to find x. Let's plug it into the top one, why not? So I'm simply going to rewrite this, except when I get to my y, I'm going to write negative 2. It's all on the screen. I'm not on the screen, but you can still hear my voice. X minus 10 times negative 2 equals 60. Now this is where it's really important to just first simplify. So I'm just going to say, what is 10 times negative 2? That's going to be negative 20. Now what happens if I have a minus a negative?
It becomes positive.
That becomes plus, right? So I'm going to actually write it out, and I want you to do this in your notes on two separate lines. And you could make a little note to yourself if you want, right? Minus, that's not going to show up on the video. Minus a negative becomes plus. So this minus a negative becomes plus. Have you guys all written this? Remember, part of the way we remembered this was like this. Watch up here for a second. When we have minus and negative, they sort of combine to make a positive. Remember doing that? All right. X plus 20 equals 60. How do I find out what x is now? Just looking at this right here. X plus 20 equals 60. What could I do to find
Subtract
x?
20.
Subtract 20 from both sides. Beautiful.
X equals 40. And then you're good.
And then I'm good. So I could write my answer as an ordered pair, 40, comma, negative 2. Now, this is why we don't use a graph to solve these. Have we ever made a graph that went all the way out to x equals 40? Oops. Out to x equals 40? Probably not, right? That would be a huge graph. It'd be like, right? These lines are going to cross like way over here. That's probably not even far enough.
It's probably even first.
So if I used a graph to solve these, I'd have to draw a gigantic graph. And that's why we don't use a graph. That's why we use the elimination method.
It's probably what?
All right. Anyone want to take a picture of that now that I've drawn lines through it?
Yes.
Yeah, may I go grab my iPad?
Sure. I'm actually going to slide this. So this was just review, right? We've already done that. Part 3 of this is going to look a little bit different. What if we have a system of equations like this one? 3x plus 4y equals 18. And then x minus 2y equals negative. I got that down. Now, every system so far has either had the x or the y have the same numerical coefficient. So like we would have had 3x and 3x, or 3x and negative 3x. Or we would have had 4y and 4y, or 4y and negative 4y. And that was really important, wasn't it? Because when we had the same coefficient, we could just add these together, and that would make one of the variables drop out. But now, we don't. So what are we going to do? Well, what we have to do in this one is multiply one of these equations by a number. Not just negative 1, but another number. And in this case, the easiest thing to do is going to be eliminate the y's. Because this one's positive and this one's negative. Now, it actually doesn't matter though. If I chose to eliminate the x's, I would get the same answers in the end. So here's how I do it. I'm going to choose to go for the y's. I have to make my y's have the same coefficient. Right now I have 4y and 2y. So I'm thinking to myself, can I multiply one of those times a number to make it equal the other one? I've got it. 2 times 2 will equal 4. So I need to multiply this times 2. But can I multiply just one thing in equation times 2? No, I can't do that. I have to multiply both sides of this equation times 2. So let's do it. 2 times this side of the equation and 2 times this side of the equation. Let's see what happens. 2 times x is 2x. 2 times minus 2y is minus 4y. Negative 4 times 2 is negative 8. Okay. So remember, I haven't actually changed the equation. If I were to graph this line here and graph this line here, they would actually be the same line. I just made it look a little different. And now I can rewrite my top equation. 3x plus 4y equals 18. Now I can add these together and the y's will drop out. What did I have to do? Oh, I had to multiply this equation times 2 in order to get it set up to do this. 2x plus 3x is 5x. Y's drop out equals 10. divide both sides by 5, x equals 2. Okay. Yeah.
I'm gonna get some water.
Sure. Now I have to find y, so let's plug it into the top equation. 3 times 2 plus 4y equals 18. 6 plus 4y equals 18. I'm going to go kind of quickly. Subtract 6 from both sides. 4y equals 12. Divide both sides by 4. And y equals 2. So my answer is 2, 3. This part is not new. This is exactly what we've been doing. To find the second variable, nothing has changed. We plug in and we solve. The part that's new is only this first step. Now, instead of just multiplying by -1, or instead of just adding, I actually had to think of a number that I could multiply times one of these equations to make one of the variables drop out and have equal coefficients. If I wanted the x's to drop out, what would I have had to multiply this equation by to make it so that it dropped out with this other x? I have 3x up here, and I have x down here. What could I have multiplied by to get those to be opposites? Just look at this. If I wanted these to be equal, 3x is here. What would I have to multiply this one by to make it equal to that? Take a guess.
Subtract 3.
Yeah, -3. If I multiplied by -3, then those x's would have dropped out. So I could have done that instead. I chose not to. I did the 2. Okay. All right, I'm going to erase this one, let you guys take a picture of the next one. Make sure you're writing these all in your notes though. All right, so the next one is this. What if I had x plus y equals 5, negative 2x plus 3y equals -5. Okay. And there's nothing that's the same, right? I have x and -2x. Those won't drop out. I have y and 3y. So I have to multiply by something to make one of these drop out. Who sees a number that I could use to multiply and make it so that my system will work with elimination? You guys see a number that I could multiply by? Let's focus on the x's. I have -2x here and x here. How could I make those be opposite coefficients? Additive inverse coefficients. What would I have to multiply by?
5.
Okay, if I multiply by 5, let's see what happens. 5 times this is going to give me 5x plus 5y equals 25. And then down here I have -2x plus 3y equals -5. If I add these together, will something drop out? Let's try it. What's 5x plus -2x? What's 5 plus
3x.
negative 2? Yeah, 3x. Great. And what's 5y plus 3y? It's 5y plus 3y.
$8y.
8y. Did anything drop out? Did my x or my y drop out?
No.
No. So that didn't work, right? So let's not do that. We're not going to do that.
You could multiply it by 2.
I can multiply it by 2. Why did he say 2? Why did he pick 2? Jake, why did he pick 2?
Because if you multiply it by 2, you can get rid of the x.
Yeah, those x's will drop out. So let's multiply through by 2. We have 2x plus 2y equals 5 times 2 is 10. I'm just going to simply, actually I don't really even need to copy this one down because it's right above it. So now I'm going to add this. Negative 2x plus 2x, yes! Eliminated! That's my whole goal, right? 3y plus 2y is 5y. Negative 5 plus 10 is a positive 5. So I'm just adding vertically, right? Negative 5 plus 10 is positive 5. Okay, now I divide both sides by 5. Y equals 1. Okay. Now I'm on a roll. I'm on a roll because I've done this before. I'm going to plug the y in up here. I'm just going to choose this original equation. X plus 1 equals 5. Instead of writing y, I wrote 1. If x plus 1 equals 5, what is x?
4.
Yeah, subtract 1 from both sides. X equals 4. My solution is 4 comma 1. Go ahead and take a picture of that one if you would like to. Remember, the key is figuring out what do I multiply by. What do I multiply by?
Camera clicks. I'm the only one that has my camera on, so apparently.
Alright. Done? Alright. So, we're going to just look at 2, and I just am going to ask you that first question. We're not going to actually solve these. I'm just going to ask you, what would you multiply by? And these are the first 2 questions on your homework. Just take this up here with me. So we have 2x plus 3y equals 12.
Oh.
5x minus y equals 13. That's number 1, so take a look at it. Number 2, 3x plus 4y equals 12. Sorry, negative 6. And 2x plus y equals negative 8. What can I multiply in this one to get something to drop
But
out?
are these like one problem on our homework?
These are 2 different problems.
2 different. Okay.
We're just looking at this one right now.
Okay.
What would I multiply by? Let's just do step number 1. What would I multiply by to get something to drop out? You're going to say something like, multiply the top equation by 10. Or multiply the bottom equation by negative 73.
Multiply the bottom equation by negative 73 then.
Okay? You want me to.
Okay.
You think this is going to work?
No.
No, right?
No.
No. What would work though?
Give me a sec.
3.
Multiply the top.
3. I heard 3, but which equation?
The
Top. No, bottom. Wait.
Yes, the bottom.
Up, down, up,
Bottom,
down,
because it's
down.
negative y, and on the top it's a positive y.
If I multiply this one by 3, I have 6x and 5x. That doesn't help. Then I have 9y and negative 1y. That's not going to help. But if I multiply the bottom equation by 3, right? Let me give you your homework, so you can follow along here. We're starting problem number 1 right now.
Go.
You can get that. If I multiply the bottom equation by 3, I get 3 times 5x is 15x. 3 times negative y is negative 3y, or minus 3y, however you want to say it. And then 3 times 13 is 39. Now, if I rewrite this equation right underneath that, do you guys see that these y's are going to drop out? These y's have the same number but opposite signs for their coefficients. They have additive inverse coefficients. That's exactly what I want to happen. So you're going to finish that one for homework. Okay? Let's look at number 2 here. So stop whatever you're doing on number 1, move over to number 2. What can I multiply by here in order to get something to eliminate? What could I multiply this by?
Negative 4 on the bottom.
Yeah, nice. Do you guys see that if I multiply this by negative 4, I'm going to end up with negative 4 times 2x is negative 8x. Negative 4 times positive y is negative 4y. Notice how I'm just turning the plus into a minus? And then negative 4 times 8 is a positive 32. Then if I rewrite this one, if I rewrite that one, look, negative 4y, positive 4y, those are going to cancel out. Okay? So I'm going to stop the video here.